3 months, the Valvoline Motorsport Ireland National Forestry Championship roars back to life here for the only 2-day forestry event in Ireland on the calendar. It's the Jim Walsh Cork Forest Rally.
Yes, Olive, the excitement has been building over the summer break, and with the CFF Group Jim Walsh Cork Forest Rally organised this year as a 2-day rally, anticipation levels were higher than ever. Based in Mallow, each day of the rally counts as a separate round of the championship. And in this programme, we'll be covering round 4.
We're bringing you all the action from day 1 of the Jim Walsh Cork Forestry Rally, and the results today will count towards round 4 of the Valvoline Motorsport Ireland National Forestry Championship.
The championship is currently being led by Barry McKenna in his Ford Fiesta R5, who took top points on the last round, the Moonraker Forest Rally.
We've 3 good results there, so we still have a drop round that we can use, so I think we'll just go max attack from the start and see how it goes.
Stephen McCann is second overall and is making the change from a Fiesta S2000 to a more potent R5 for the second half of the season.
We just made the change more or less after the last round, and we done 1-day testing, so we're still kind of learning the car now a good bit, but at least we've 2 days here now this weekend to kind of make a proper go at it.
4th and 5th respectively, Josh Moffat and Andrew Purcell have both recorded 1 non-finish so far this year, and with 3rd place Ger Lucy absent, the Cork Forests provided an opportunity to make serious gains on the overall leaderboard.
This weekend's going to be very important for us and the championship. There's 2 rounds, two sets of points up for grabs, so we definitely need to be getting top points on both days.
Mickey, you're leading the 2-wheel drive at the moment, but you're after sustaining a bit of an injury.
Yeah, look, I had a shoulder injury there for a number of years and sort of had to get a chop on it there recently, so we're nursing it at the moment, so we'll see how today goes. We're not sure if we'll do tomorrow yet, but we'll see how today goes.
Shane, we're so used to seeing you in the little Starlet, but an escort today.
Yeah, a bit of change of plan. It's been a hell of a busy week here. My own car's on the way to Lithuania, so it wasn't available anyway to do this. It was either miss it or go on this, so we were going to get this out for a Cork 2-day.
So as the crews head off to tackle the stages, let's see what the clerk of the course, Paul Casey, and his team at the Cork Motor Club have led on for day 1 of the event. There are 6 stages on both days, with Saturday's action taking place to the west of Mallow. As stage 1 and 6, the short Rahan test kicks off and finishes the action on day 1, followed by the longest stage of the day, Mountain Barracks, which flanks Kilworth military ranges and runs as stage 2 and 4. Stage 3 and 5, Cool Free, actually begins in County Limerick before winding its way back into Cork. With the rally taking place towards the end of the recent heatwave, organisers were glad of some light showers to keep the dust down while it was still fine enough to make life easier for the fans and volunteer marshals. As we go on board with Barry McKenna and Leon Jordan.
2, 1, go.
The pair were quickest out of the blocks, going fastest by over 4 seconds on stage 1. Stage 2 didn't go so well though, as the New York-based Monaghan driver stalled his Fiesta R5 at a hairpin and he slipped back into 2nd place.
You're happy there? This deceptive C fast 2 left. 350. 350. Better boy. And middle where flat rest go, 150 down.
Taking over the lead were Andrew Purcell and Mark Wiley in another Fiesta R5. The Tipperary crew admitted to a sluggish start on stage 1, but with a steady run over stage 2 and no major moments to report, it's clear that they had the finish line in mind.
Small crest 30, big watch 5 right narrow and tighten bandit in minus 80. Flat 2 left, flat 2 left. So it's long 2, tightens the fast 3, keep in, only 40 long, fast 5 right. Only 40 long, fast 5. 300. Turn, square left, don't cut. Big turn, square left, don't cut. Tidy and slippy. Through the finish. 300.
2-day event, is that on your mind?
Yeah, for sure. Look, we need to be here at the end of it. Very easy to go quick on 1 or 2 stages, but it's to get to the end of the 2 days is the thing, so we're being steady enough.
Josh Moffat was right on the pace from the off, but he spun his Fiesta on stage 2, resulting in some minor damage and a loss of over 20 seconds. Adrian Hetherington was really putting it up to the youngsters in his relatively outdated Toyota Corolla WRC. Second quickest on the opener, the Tyrone driver felt he was a little sloppy over the second test and he slipped back to fourth. Trailing his fellow county man by just half a second, Vivian Hamill's first foray in a Fiesta R5 was going well as he adjusted from the usual Mark II Escort.
Driving an Escort to driving a four-wheel drive car, just the low speed corner and like the amount of speed you can carry through and the traction you have up hills, it's a step on, it definitely is.
Another driver making his R5 debut was Stephen McCann. Although his step up was less of a leap than from a Mark II, sixth after 2 stages, the Cavan man was surprised just how different the R5 was from his previous S2000 version. Cahan McCourt was another to join the Fiesta party. Having previously campaigned in a Citroen R5 and a Group N Mitsubishi, he was 7th overall as he got to grips with the new machine.
Long hairpin left down the hill, tidy and loose at the chevron there. Hairpin left, tidy, loose. Into 5 right, 40. Repeat, 5 right, 40. 5 left, don't cut past junction.
8th overall and leading Group N in the Mitsubishi Evo 9, Owen Rogers and Paddy McCrudden were just 1 second off McCourt. One interesting entrant was the Hyundai i20 R5 of 26-year-old Philip Allen. Son of the great rally champion Glenn Allen, Philip is an up-and-coming talent currently under the guidance of Eugene Donnelly and the Hyundai team. 6th after stage 1, Philip slipped to 9th after a minor mishap on stage 2. A familiar sight on the tarmac stages of Northern Ireland, it was great to see Alan Carmichael take to the southern woods in his Mini WRC. Currently 10th, early handbrake issues saw him slip off the road briefly and he was now on a mission to make up for lost time.
Right, opens tail 1 long, so 2 right, opens tail 1 long up here at the bushes. 2 right, yeah, opens tail 1 long. 100, 4 right slippy.
Former championship regular Peter McCullough couldn't resist the lure of the 2-day Cork Forest Rally and he was 11th overall and 2nd in Group N. 1.9 seconds adrift in another Mitsubishi Evo 9 was Niall McCullough, who had no problems to report so far, and he and Ryan McCluskey bedded themselves in across the opening stages.
1 right, only 40, the hairpin right. 200 down the middle now, till a hairpin left.
Joint 12th overall and 3rd in Group N with Niall McCullough was Niall Devine, who had former Group N national navigating champion Kieran McGrath calling the notes. Shane McGurr's switch from the 2-litre Starlet to a 2.5-litre Escort didn't go so smoothly. Although he emerged from the opening 2 stages holding the 2-wheel drive lead, he'd had to contend with intercom trouble, a misfire and alternator issues. Driving a 2-litre Mark II, defending 2-wheel drive champion David Crossan admitted he felt very rusty on the opening test, so he was happy to be trailing McGurr by just 3 seconds after 2 stages.
Middle bump junction, 80, 2 right minus, and 3 left, don't cut, bumpy. 150 up the middle, right into turn, hairpin left. Turn, hairpin left.
Derek Mackerel had a new suspension installed in his Vauxhall Nova and was really feeling the benefits. He led the junior class and was 3rd quickest in the 2-wheel drive standings.
Easy over loose, square right past the junction, and 40, short 2 left, opens to a 5 left, and 4 left in.
4th in the 2-wheel drive battle, David Condell was happy with his run and had no dramas to report so far. Thomas O'Connell had been leading the 2-wheel drive battle after stage 1, but he slid his Escort off the road in stage 2 and slipped way down the leaderboard. Whilst O'Connell was down, John Gordon was out. His Escort succumbed to engine trouble halfway through the 2nd stage. Still recovering from a recent shoulder operation, Mickey Conlon wasn't quite on his usual pace. Perhaps the 2-day forestry wasn't the best kind of physiotherapy after all. Following some mixed fortune in the Opel Adam R2 so far this season, Jordan Hone was glad to get a clean run through the first two tests to lie second in the junior class and fifth in the two-wheel drive battle.
Flat 1 right, 80. Flat 1 left continues for 100. C40. Flat 1 right on 40. Flat 2 right long on. Opens, okay, 60. K3 right plus.
In the Junior 1000 class for 16 to 18-year-olds, Scottish driver Peter Beaton had opened up a substantial lead after two stages in the Peugeot 107. His lead was more than 40 seconds over Aoife Gahan, who got held up by another car on stage 1 and lost time on stage 2 when she overshot her Chevrolet Spark. Rory Byrne had been leading the class after stage 1, but he slid his Peugeot 107 into a ditch on stage 2, losing lots of time and damaging a wishbone in the process. Former Irish karting champion and rally crosser Aaron Whelan was making his rallying debut in the Cork forests. But it didn't go to plan on the opener as he put his Nissan Micra off the road briefly. Stage 2 went better and he was fourth in class for the moment. Defending champion Jason Murphy could secure back-to-back titles this weekend, but he almost threw it all away on stage 2 when he slid off the road and damaged a wishbone. In a remarkably sporting gesture, title rival Peter Beaton donated a spare, and James rejoined the event under Rally 2 rules, so the championship was still on the cards. Back at the head of the main field, it's Andrew Purcell who holds a slender lead, but with 4 stages still to come, it's all to play for at the CFF Group Jim Walsh Cork Forest Rally.
Andrew in the lead at the moment, but can he hold on to it? We'll be finding out after the break.
Welcome back to Mallow for part 2 of the CFF Group Jim Walsh Cork Forest Rally. As ever, these types of events provide huge boosts to local economies, and Paul O'Connor of CFF Group was thrilled to back the rally for the 3rd year running.
Paul, you're the title sponsor, Crafted Fitted Furniture. I'm sure you're absolutely delighted to get behind this wonderful event for the community.
Absolutely fantastic. It's great turnout now. Fantastic cars here, great buzz around Mallow. Superb.
The second loop of stages would see the crews tackle the Cool Free test for the first time, followed by the second run over the Mountain Barracks stage. And after Cool Free, there was a new rally leader as Barry McKenna went almost 3 seconds quicker to emerge with an overall lead of 1.2 seconds. His lead was short-lived though, as Andrew Purcell hit back with the fastest time on stage 4, and McKenna now trailed by 3 seconds with 2 stages to go.
Long 5 right, tightens, don't cut, bumpy. 40 and 5 left, okay, 150. 5 left here, okay, 150. Going to a very long and very fast 3 left, hug and push.
With a shorter gear ratio set up in his Fiesta, Purcell felt the Fiesta was on the limiter for the long straights and losing time, but he was making up for it on acceleration out of the corners.
Watch at the end, long 5 left, minus, tighten bad at the end. Care slippy square right, be 300, care slippy square right to chevron. 100, 3 left, be 3 left at the end and 2 right, 3 left and 2 right, 230.
Having lost a lot of time with a spin on stage 2, Josh Moffat was 3rd and doing his best to make up the deficit. The former champion was pleased to see that reduced from almost 25 seconds after stage 2 to 16 seconds after stage 4. Adrian Hetherington was using every inch of the tight and twisty stages to try and keep pace with the top 3. He was over a minute in arrears and looking forward to the faster flowing stages of day 2, which should suit his Corolla WRC. Stephen McCann was 11.9 seconds off Hetherington and unwilling to take any big risks as he continued to acclimatise to his new Fiesta R5 in the woods of North Cork. There was a new leader of the two-wheel drive section as David Crossan took almost 7 seconds off Shane McGurr on stage 3 to move into the lead. McGurr put the result on Coolfree down to his lack of confidence on the bumpy nature of the stage, but he responded well to the setback and it was shaping up to be a great battle for the two-wheel drive prize.
3 left, don't cut. 40. 2 right long, don't cut, tightens.
That last stage, I had nothing left in there and we're separated by under a second over 13k, so it's flat out, so it is, but no, I'm really enjoying it now.
So with just the final runs over the Coolfree and Rahan tests to go, we turn to the various classes now, and taking the Class 2 win on home soil was Cal McCarthy, with Gavin Sheehan navigating in the Citroen C2 R2. In Class 4, or Group N, taking the category win with over half a minute to spare were Owen Rogers and Paddy McCrudden, who finished 10th overall on day 1 of Cork. In Class 5, Enda McCormick was happy to get the 6 stages of day 1 under his belt and finished 13th overall and 4th in class in the Fiesta R5.
The long 4 left over bump loose, 60. Caution, late 4 left tightens. Caution, late 4 left tightens. And crest. And care. 5 right over crest tightens to a 4 right.
Philip Allen's first time on gravel proved an interesting one, enduring a few thrills and spills in the Hyundai i20 R5 before finishing 8th overall and 3rd in class. Cahan McCourt's debut drive on the Fiesta R5 netted 6th overall and 2nd in class. No doubt there'll be more to come from Cahan on day 2. 9.5 seconds ahead, and another R5 debutant to watch out for on day 2 was Stephen McCann, who took the Class 5 trophy in 5th overall with navigator Kane Traynor. With the Class 9 points leader on a tour of duty with the Irish Defence Forces, Dean Humphreys stole a march on Lee Bracken to win Class 9 in his Vauxhall Corsa. Pearse Doheny kept his Class 10 championship aspirations alive with 3rd in class on day 1 of the Cork Forest Rally. Not registered for the championship, Tom Murphy put in a great display on his home rally to take the runner-up spot in Class 10. But leading the class from start to finish to claim their 4th win in a row were Mike Garahy and Irla McCarthy in the Mark II Escort. In Class 11F, local crew Kieran Lynch and Adam Power maintained their overall class lead, taking 2nd in class in the Honda Civic.
150 bumps, it's very rough, slippy braking, square right, watch the square right. 80 out of it. Nice driving, fast 3 left.
Rory Maguire and Grace O'Brien took maximum points with the Class 11 win on day 1 of the Cork Forestry, closing to within 3 points of Kieran Lynch's lead. James Dunphy and Shane Gaisley secured the Class 11R title with 2nd in class, taking maximum points as there were no other registered Class 11R crews in Cork for the weekend. Taking the Class 11R win was local driver Paul Fitzgerald, with Marty McGarty navigating in the 1600cc Escort Mark II. In Class 12, 4th place was enough to move Brian Little into the joint lead on points with the absent Emmett Cronin. Ray Benskin Sr. finished 3rd in class with Patter Walsh navigating in the Escort Mark II. Ray's brother Sean Benskin kept his championship hopes alive with 2nd in class on his home rally. But taking a dominant win in the Escort G3 were Mikey Walsh and Killian O'Sullivan, who had over 2 minutes to spare at the end of 6 stages. Going into the penultimate stage, David Crossan held a slender lead in the two-wheel drive battle, but testament to how hard he was pushing, he clipped a rock and lost a wheel on his Escort. A disappointing end to a great drive. Damien McGarren finally got his season back on track, taking 2nd in Class 13 with Michaela McGinn navigating in the BMW 320. Having led the two-wheel drive battle before an off on stage 2 left them outside the top 30, Thomas O'Connell and Barney Mitchell fought back throughout the day to take the Class 13 win and finish 22nd overall. By the end of stage 3, David Condell was up to 3rd in the two-wheel drive battle and 19th overall, but a jump start on stage 4 cost him dearly as the 1-minute time penalty demoted him to 27th overall and 3rd in Class 14. Mickey Condon wasn't quite on his usual pace. Still a decent result, taking 2nd in Class 14. With his rivals falling by the wayside, Shane McGurr coasted home to 12th overall, taking the two-wheel drive win on his debut drive in the Mark II Escort.
First class, I'm delighted. I didn't expect this. I was just coming here for a finish, and listen, if we can do remotely the same again tomorrow, I'd be delighted.
In Class 15, Niall Turley and Andrew Wedlock maintained their lead on the points table with 3rd place on day 1 off the Cork Forestry. Dubliner John Reid took the runner-up spot with Enda Shields navigating in the Toyota Corolla. Tyrone's Adrian Hetherington got his first points on the board with an emphatic win of over 3 minutes, finishing 4th overall with navigator Gary Nolan. In Class 20, Donald Sweeney and Stephen O'Hanlon took maximum points with 3rd in class as the top 2 crews weren't registered for the championship.
Watch it, don't go wide, don't go wide. 3 right, falls wide, do not go wide now. 80 down, 5 right and 5 right again.
Vivian Hamill and Andrew Grennan had been 6th overall going into the final stage, but a mishap cost them 14 seconds and they slipped to 9th. Still a decent result on their 4-wheel drive debut. Gaining a place on the final stage to finish 7th overall and 1st in Class 20 were Alan Carmichael and Ivor Lamont in the Mini WRC. In the junior class, there was more misfortune for former leaders Derek Mackerel and Murren Hayes. Their Vauxhall Nova cut out in the middle of stage 5, losing almost 5 minutes, but they managed to get to the finish line in 5th place. Jenna McCann and Tommy Cudahy were 15 seconds ahead in 4th place in the Fiesta R2. Despite persistent suspension problems in the Peugeot 208, Marty Gallagher and Dean O'Sullivan managed to nurse it home to 3rd in the junior class. James Wilson and Gavin Doherty saw out the day holding 2nd in class in their similar machine. But taking the junior win by over 25 seconds in the end were Jordan and Paul Hone, who finished 17th overall in the Opel Adam R2.
Yeah, no, we had a really good day now, so we look forward to tomorrow now. We're doing another round again, so now we'll try and get maximum points tomorrow again, try and go flat out.
In the J1000 class, Aoife Gahan and Michelle Walsh recorded their best result to date, taking the runner-up spot in the Chevrolet Spark. But taking his first win of the season and worthy of much praise for donating his spare wishbone to Jason Murphy was Scott Peter Beaton, with Conor Boylan navigating in the Peugeot 107. To the overall podium finishers now, where Josh Moffat kept a cool head after his earlier spin to take 3rd overall, with Stephen Thornton calling the notes in the Fiesta R5. 15.9 seconds ahead in 2nd were Barry McKenna and Leon Jordan, who had led the rally twice throughout the day, and despite going quickest by 2 seconds on the penultimate stage, it wasn't enough and they had to settle for the runner-up spot, just 1.7 seconds off day 1 winners Andrew Purcell and Mark Wiley.
There's not much left at all in it. Hard work all day, but fair play to the lads to make great racing.
And there's confirmation of the results after a dramatic first leg of the CFF Group Jim Walsh Cork Forest Rally, which sees Barry McKenna extend his championship lead to 78 points. But with day 2 counting as round 5 of the series, there's maximum points up for grabs once again in Cork.
What an epic battle we saw here today. But it's Andrew Purcell who takes the win of round 4 of the Valvoline Motorsport Ireland National Rally Championship. But will he take the win in the Jim Walsh Cork Forest Rally? We'll be finding out in round 5 and day 2. Do join us then.